Hello to everyone. Today we're going to discuss another interesting, very helpful tool in Excel, which is a drop-down list. We will go even beyond that and take a look at the data validation tool, which drop-down is a part of. Let's see how can it help us. In order to activate the tool, you need to go to the Data tab and find the Data Validation button. When you push it, you need to go to Settings and choose in the Allow section the option of limitation, which you want to apply to the cell. In order to create a drop-down list, we need to choose the option list. We will start with the easiest ways how to add the drop-down list, and step by step we'll get to more complex options. The simplest option is just to list potential options which you want to see on the drop-down list. In this case, let's say apple, the orange and mango. After that, you push OK. As you can see now, we can choose one of the options. However, if you try to type something different, we will see an error and alert that it cannot be done. But if you have many items and you don't want to list them one by one, for that you need to create a separate table with the list of the items you want to appear on the drop-down list. And let's add another one, which is orange. Now you go to the initial cell to which you want to apply the drop-down list. Again, we go to the Data tab and find the Validation button and choose the list. However, now instead of listing all of the elements we want to appear on the drop-down list, we will simply select the section and push OK. We have these 4 fruits on the list. Now the question is how to add additional element to the list which you may have forgotten in the beginning. For this, you go to the List tab and you insert the row in between the elements which you already have in the list. For instance, let's add mango. Let's go back to our cell. And now, as you can see in the drop-down list, you have additional element. In order to make it more readable, you can give a name to this list. For instance, we can call it fruits. And now we can change the formula, data validation, go to our cell, and we can put simply fruits. As you can see, the list of options is the same. The problem with the approaches which I described before, that it's not that easy to add something to the list. And even if you want to do so, you need to insert some line in between the elements. How to make it simpler and have an ability to add elements at the end of the list? For this, we need to use certain property of the table element in Microsoft Excel. First of all, let's copy our table and let's create a table element from it. In order to do so, you need to select all the elements, including the header, go to Insert tab and push the table. Here we need to keep the tick mark active. Push OK. When you have one of the table elements being active, you see additional element in the top menu, which is table. We can go here, and on the left corner, we see the name of the table. Let's change it to something like more readable, just a table. The usual link to the table looks like this. So it's the name of the element, and then in square brackets, you see the name of the column. Let's go here and copy this and use it for our validation. Again, we go to the Data tab, Data Validation, and choose the list option. Now, let's put this element here. Importantly, we need to kill the add sign here. However, if we push OK simply right now, we will see that there is a mistake. The mistake is driven by the fact that Excel treats this sequence of symbols as text. However, we want it to read it as an address. In order to do so, we need to add the indirect formula. And with this syntaxis, Excel will understand that we're not talking about the sequence of symbols, but we're talking about the element table and the column fruits in it. If we push OK now, you will see that we have all the elements being available in the drop-down list. We can add pineapple. And as you can see, it immediately became the part of the table. And in this drop-down list, it already is a part of the table. If we go back to our cell, we see that this element is 8. Let's see which other options are available in the data validation tool. Let's imagine that in the second column of our table we would like to see the cell phone number and it must contain 11 digits. Let's go to the data validation tool, and from the list of the options, let's choose the text length. In this case, we want to have exactly 11 digits in the input, therefore both minimum and maximum should be equal to 11. And now, if we want to go and put any text with the length less than 11 or more than 11, I don't know how much, we will see a mistake. And we need to enter exactly 11 digits. In this case, there will be no issue. Another interesting option is that you can not only apply the criteria, but you can also put some error message, only 11 digits, which will be visible for the people who will be working with this document. And then now, in case of any mistake, you see in the alert window, you will be able to see the message which you input earlier. The next option is to put the date. And for this specific example, let's imagine that we want the information about the purchases which were made only in this specific year, which is 2022. We go back to the data validation option, we go back to settings and choose the date option. We need to define the start date and the end date. For the start date, let's imagine that we have the date of 2022, let's say January 1st. As you can see, I prefer to use not the exact number, but the date formula. Why so? Because there are two benefits. One of them is that whoever will be reading this file will immediately understand which date I used. Second benefit is that since I work with multiple markets, it's clear to me that the date format is completely different. For instance, in the United States and in Canada, you have different format of writing the date. And therefore, this format which I propose here is unified and it's clear for everyone. And for the end date, let's put the last day of the year, which is December 31st. In this case, if we put any date for 2022, it will be working. However, if we try to put 2021, we will see a mistake. And the last option we will take a look today is the ability to limit the range of input numbers. It can be done in two options. If you go to data validation tool and again open the list, you could do it with a whole number or with decimal. Let's work with the whole number, and as defined in the title of the column, we want to see the number between 1 and 5. So for minimum we would put 1, for maximum we use 5. In this case, now we can enter the number 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. However, if we put 6, it will not work. The same thing will happen if we put 1.5, because we have chosen the whole number. So this was the last point which I wanted to share with you today. Thank you, and I wish you a good day.